For the longest time growing up, basically my whole life, I thought wealth was about a number. I thought that when I hit $1.5 million, because that number gets thrown around a lot, and I heard that as a kid, and so I kind of latched onto it. I thought that when I hit 1.5 million, I would be wealthy. Everything would be great. I would be able to live this rich life, and things would just feel better. But I think as I've been working towards financial freedom over the last 5 years, I've realized that wealth really isn't about the number. The number opens up doors for you. It can provide a certain lifestyle, but it's your lifestyle choices and how you use your money that really influences how wealthy you will feel. And the amount of money that you're going to need to feel that feeling is going to vary based on the person, based on whether or not you have kids, or you provide for a partner, or you provide for your parents, or you have a bunch of debt, or you have whatever. Like, it's going to vary person to person. So again, less about the dollar amount, more about your lifestyle and your lifestyle choices. So level one is scarcity. And at this level, everything is tight. You don't have the money you need to pay your bills, to put food on the table, to pay your debts. You are constantly worried and focused on your next paycheck, because that next paycheck is going to be what allows you to do all those things that you need to do. You're one emergency away from being completely underwater, and you just feel like you can't think about anything else. And this stage could look very different for different people. It's not just someone making minimum wage who's struggling to put food on the table. It could also be someone who's making six figures plus, but spending more than they make, drowning in credit card debt, and having to work for that next paycheck in the same mindset of scarcity as that person making minimum wage. It's two very different lifestyles, two different ways of living and experiencing the world, but it's that same feeling of, I have to go work and I have to go do whatever I can to make that next paycheck, to pay my bills, to pay my debts, to put food on the table. It's that same feeling of everything is about to topple over if I don't keep making money. And the goal here is very simple. It's just to stop the bleeding. It's to stop increasing debt and increasing spending. So what I want you to do is to start tracking your expenses. I've got a free expense tracker linked down below in the description. I use it personally. Once a month I go in, I track my expenses just to get a good sense of where my money is actually going, because we all have ideas of where we spend our money. And then you look at the numbers and you realize that you spend a lot more money in certain areas than you thought you did. So track your expenses, do it for a couple months, see where your money's actually going, and figure out a few ways that you can cut back that aren't going to feel super restrictive, that will be a realistic way for you to save a bit more money and put a bit more money aside. So maybe that's not going out and buying coffee and making it at home instead. Maybe that is selling your super expensive car with a huge car payment and getting a used car that's much more affordable. It can look different again for different people, but figure out a way that you can cut back that's not going to feel super restrictive, but is going to allow you to put a little bit more money aside each month. I will say though, if you are in the boat of someone who is struggling to get by, making minimum wage, and you're already not really spending much money, you don't have much money to spend, everything's just going towards survival needs, which is the case for a lot of people, then it's going to be more important for you to focus on making money. Maybe you can save $1 here and there, but if you can pick up more hours at work, if you can ask your boss for a raise, if you can pick up another part-time job, if you can do some gig work, if you can start a side hustle, put your energy and your time into making more money, as opposed to trying to save $1 here and there. Because if you're not making much money and you're not spending much money, there's only so much cutting back you can do, and you don't want to make your life super restrictive. So track your expenses no matter where you're at, just so that you know where your money's going. And if you're in that boat, really focus on making more money at this stage, because you want to get to a point where you have a little bit of money set aside, so that at the very least, an emergency happens, you've got to go to the doctor, you've got to pay for an unexpected car expense. You have the peace of mind knowing that you can handle a one-time unexpected expense. And that's going to bring us to level two, which is stability. And at this point, you should feel a sense of relief. You should feel like you can breathe a little bit, because you're paying your bills on time, you're paying your debts on time. And at this point, maybe you've saved up $500 to $1,000 to deal with one of those unexpected expenses. So you've got a little bit of breathing room. You don't feel completely claustrophobic in your finances, and you feel like you can see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Things are still tight, but you feel like you've got a sense of control. You've stopped the bleeding, and now you can start to dig yourself out of that hole. So what you're going to want to do to move to the next level is pay off your high interest rate debt and build an emergency savings fund. Start by looking at all your loans and listing them out from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate. You're going to attack that highest interest rate debt with all of your extra money. So pay all of your minimum payments on all the other loans. You don't want to miss a payment. And then all of the extra money that you have for saving, investing, paying off debt, put all of that towards your highest interest rate debt. Once that's paid off, work your way down the list until you've paid everything off that's over a 7% interest rate. And so at this point, you're going to take all that extra money that you were putting towards your high interest rate debt that you no longer have to put towards your high interest rate debt because it's all paid off. You're going to start putting that towards building an emergency savings fund. And you're going to want to work up to a 3 to 6 month emergency savings fund. So in the last step, you already tracked your expenses. You have a good idea of what you spend in a month. Multiply that by 3, and that's the number that you're going to shoot for as the minimum that you need to have saved in an emergency savings fund. This is going to build a strong foundation for you to continue progressing towards financial freedom. And that's going to bring you to level 3, which is security. And this is where things really start to feel safe because you have that emergency fund. Things can happen, you can get laid off, and you don't have to worry about it. You've got a little bit of a cushion. You've got a couple months of a buffer so that you can get back on your feet. You also don't have high interest rate debt anymore, so you're not drowning in debt payments. Maybe you've got some low interest rate student loans or a mortgage or something, but those payments are manageable. Now you have peace of mind, and that's priceless. I hit this level about 2 years ago, and that made the biggest difference in my day-to-day stress, the biggest sense of relief, knowing that I was going to be all right if something went south at work or I had a medical emergency or my car broke down. Just knowing that whatever it was going to be covered and I had the buffer. Man, it makes such a huge difference in your mental health. And in fact, studies actually show that making 200K per year provides less fulfillment than having an emergency fund. Now, I don't make 200K per year, so I cannot confirm or deny if this is true, but I have a feeling that it is most likely true. For me, I'm going to make about half of that this year, and that provides a comfortable life. I don't have to stress about anything. I don't have to really worry about money day to day. I'm able to go take some trips. I'm able to spend some money on stuff that I want and just fun life adventures. So making 200K would be great, but it would just provide more or more expensive versions of all the stuff that I already spend my money on. It doesn't provide me more peace of mind like having that emergency fund does. At this point, to move up to that next level, you're going to want to dial in your investing. You've already paid off your high interest debt. You still maybe have some lower interest debts, but you can set those to the side for now in terms of priority. Make sure you're making the minimum payments on them so that you don't get behind, but just make the minimum payments on those loans that are under 7% until they're paid off in full. And when it comes to how much you invest, I want you to aim for 25% of your pre-tax income. If you're curious about why 25%, I actually made a video a couple weeks ago about that exactly. It goes way more in depth, so you can check that out. It's going to be linked down below in the description. Now on to level 4, which is comfort. And this is where things start to feel really good. Things start to feel a bit more relaxed. You're not stressing about bills anymore. You're not sweating small purchases. You're able to go out and have dinners. You're able to go on trips. You're able to just have fun with your money in a way that you weren't able to in the levels prior to this. And you're able to do all of this spending without guilt. You just spend the money because you know you have it. You know you've got your money invested and working for you on the side. You've got a system in place where every time you get paid, your money's going off, getting investing, and everything else that you have left is just there for you to spend without worrying about it. At this point, you stopped the bleeding, you dug yourself out of the hole, and you built a strong foundation, and now you're able to start building towards that life that you really want. And the biggest challenge here is avoiding lifestyle creep. It can be really tricky because at this level, you feel like you can afford the life of your dreams. You have a lot of extra money that you're putting into your investments, that you're putting into your savings, that you know could go towards paying for your dream car or paying for your dream apartment or paying for that dream vacation if you just didn't invest this month or you just didn't save for the next couple months. Hypothetically, you could do that. If you abandon those good habits that you've built in levels 1 through 3, at level 4, at comfort, you could say, you know what, I'm making enough money, I've got some money in the bank, and now I'm going to go spend my money on all those things that I want, all those material things, all those lifestyle enhancements that cost money. The problem is, what you really want here, what you're really shooting for in financial freedom is the freedom part. It's not the being able to buy stuff, because you're always going to want more stuff no matter what level you're at, but you won't necessarily have time. I just realized I didn't close my door in between this shit, and I got shit on the bed. It's okay. I filmed this video on 2 separate days, and that's clear in the shirt I'm wearing, the watch I'm wearing, probably my hair, the shit on the bed, the door's open. I'm not perfect, and now I'm completely sidetracked. But yeah, it can be really tough at this level to not start to live that rich life, not start to live that dream life. So you really have to lock in and know that you are still not at the end goal, which is freedom. When you're at freedom, you can start to spend a little bit more. You can start to live whatever life it is you want to live because your money is paying for that stuff, not you. Right now, you're still trading your time for your money. So enjoy the stage, enjoy the comfort that you have, but don't get too comfortable. Make sure you're continuing to invest that 25%. If you can invest more, it's going to speed up the process, but it's so important to not get sidetracked by the shiny objects that you're going to start being exposed to at this level, because giving into that lifestyle could set you back years. Now we're moving on to level 5, which is freedom. And like we just talked about, this is the point where your money is working for you. Your money is making more money than you are able to make expending your time. Now, at this point, you could just call it quits. Like you're at level 5, you're at freedom, your investments can pay for your money. You could sit back on the beach with a mimosa and just relax for the rest of your life. Hypothetically, I don't think that would be very relaxing if you did it for a very long time. I think you'd get really bored, but maybe that's just me. What I think is really important at this level, instead of focusing on getting to the next level and putting all your energy into maximizing your investments and putting more money into the markets, I think it's more important to figure out what the end goal is. Hopefully you've already started thinking about that before you get to this point, but if you haven't, take a step back and go, hey, what is the lifestyle that I want to live? Because you can keep stacking dollars for the rest of your life and you're never going to feel like it's enough if you don't have a clear idea on the type of life you want to live, the type of things you want to be able to do with your money, the type of ways you want to spend your time. So I would say at this point, really focusing on that. Also, just so we're clear, I'm at the very beginning of level 4. I have not gotten to level 5 yet. So take everything I say from this point on with a grain of salt, but I think it's good theory. I hope that when I get to level 5, this is what I do. I've already started thinking about, I have a exact number in mind of what level 6 is to me, and then level 7 I don't really care about, but we'll talk about level 7 in a second. So at this point, it's really just about time. If you want to expedite getting to step 6, you continue investing. Maybe you invest more money. If you don't care, if you're happy at level 5, then you just sit back and relax. And you can do anything in between those two. And that brings us to level 6, which is abundance. And at this level, you're not thinking about your money. Your money pays for your dream life plus some. You are able to just spend your time doing the things you love with the people you love, how you love, where you love. Everything is about what you want. And you don't have to think about how much it costs because you know that you are making more than enough money from your investments to cover everything you could possibly want to do. You don't have to think about, you don't have to worry about it at all, unless you want to get to level 7. And level 7 is money. And this is the very top of the ladder. This is the billionaires. This is the people who can go buy $500 million yachts because they're bored and they have nothing better to do with their money. And I have nothing against these people. I have nothing against this level. To me, it's not worth working towards. But if by chance you start a business that changes the world, you might hit this level. And at this level, you can literally do whatever you want. Every door is open for you because your wealth commands power and respect at a level that is just unfathomable to levels 1 through 6. Like, you won the money game back at level 5. Hopefully, if you're at level 7, you're not even thinking about money anymore. You're just thinking about what you want to do with that wealth and how you want to change and impact the world. And that wraps up my 7 levels of wealth. For me, it's much less about the dollar amount in your bank account as it is the amount of freedom you have in your life, because freedom at the end of the day is what's going to buy happiness, not a number in your bank account. But yeah, thank you guys. I love making these videos and I'm looking forward to continue making these videos. If you got value from this, please like, subscribe. It helps the channel out a ton, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.